Every single winter, road salt kills your car from the underneath, and your mechanic is counting on it. Not the ice, not the cold, the salt, and the brake lines it eats through while you sleep. Right now, somewhere in Sapporo, a Toyota taxi driver is spraying a $3 can of something onto every exposed metal surface under his cab before the first snowfall of the season. He has been doing this since 1987. His cab has 340,000 miles on it. The brake lines are factory original. The frame shows zero structural corrosion. His mechanic has never once seen the underside of that car, because there has never been a reason to. That driver knows something that 99% of Western car owners have never been told, and what he knows costs $3. The compound is called Cura 556. It has been manufactured by Cura Engineering, Go Gongye, in Japan since 1962. It is not a secret in Japan. Every hardware store, every gas station, every 100 yen shop carries it on the shelf. Japanese mechanics spray it the way American mechanics spray brake cleaner, automatically, instinctively, without thinking about it. It is as common in a Japanese garage as a socket wrench. But outside Japan, almost no one talks about it, and there is a very specific reason for that. They did not stop recommending it in the West because it failed. They stopped because it worked too well. Cure 556 does 5 things simultaneously that Western corrosion products charge you separately for, if they offer them at all. It lubricates. It prevents rust on contact. It penetrates through existing oxidation to the base metal beneath. It cleans. And it displaces water, which is the entire root of winter corrosion. 1 spray, 5 outcomes. 63 years of documented use on some of the most precisely maintained vehicles on the planet. And it costs less than a cup of coffee. Let me tell you how this compound came to exist. In 1958, an American company called Corrosion Reaction Consultants, CRC, developed a multifunction corrosion inhibitor for industrial use. It was a mineral oil-based carrier with a refined anti-rust agent and a petroleum solvent blend. When Japanese industrial engineers encountered it in the early 1960s, during Japan's post-war manufacturing explosion, they licensed the formulation and adapted it for mass-market domestic distribution. Cure Engineering launched it in 1962 under the name 556, the 5 standing for its 5 core functions, the 56 referencing the formulation series. Within a decade, it was not just an industrial product. It was in every Japanese home, every factory floor, every fishing boat, every motorcycle workshop from Hokkaido to Okinawa. In Japan's snowbound prefectures, Aomori, Akita, Niigata, Hokkaido, where winter road conditions rival anything in Minnesota or Michigan, Cure 556 became part of the pre-winter ritual for every vehicle owner. Not because the government recommended it, not because Toyota mandated it, because it worked, and grandmothers pass it to their sons, who pass it to their children. Generation to generation. The same $3 can, the same result. But the science is the part your mechanic will never explain to you. When road salt, sodium chloride, calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, contacts bare metal, it initiates an electrochemical process called oxidative corrosion. The salt acts as an electrolyte. Moisture acts as the conductor. Oxygen acts as the oxidizing agent. The result is iron oxide, rust, forming at an accelerated rate on any unprotected steel surface. In a standard American winter, the average vehicle undercarriage is exposed to a sodium chloride concentration that is chemically equivalent to a 15% saline bath maintained for 4 to 5 months continuously. That is roughly 40 times more corrosive than the ocean air that destroys coastal vehicles in 3 to 4 years. Your brake lines are steel tubing 3.2 millimeters in diameter. Wall thickness 0.7 millimeters. At the corrosion rate generated by road salt brine on unprotected steel, those lines can be compromised within 7 to 12 winters, sometimes fewer. A 2019 study from the American Automobile Association estimated that road salt causes $3 billion in vehicle damage annually in the United States alone, and brake system failures are among the leading mechanical consequences. When a brake line fails at 60 miles per hour, it is not a maintenance issue. It is a fatality event. The taxi driver in Sapporo knows this. You were never supposed to. Because here is what the $3 solution does to that chemistry. Cure 556's carrier formula, a refined petroleum solvent bound with a mineral oil base and a specific anti-rust polar agent, does not simply coat the metal surface. It displaces the water molecule from the metal's surface at a molecular level. The polar agent bonds to the iron atoms before oxygen can. It physically outcompetes the oxidation reaction. Then it leaves behind a thin, continuous hydrophobic film, a water-shedding barrier that remains active and self-renewing as long as the compound is present. Laboratory testing conducted at Japanese industrial facilities in the 1980s showed 556's water displacement rating at a surface exposure time of under 90 seconds, meaning within 90 seconds of application, the treated surface actively repels water rather than absorbing it. For a brake line sitting under a car on a salted highway, those 90 seconds represent the difference between 300,000 miles and a catastrophic failure at 80,000. The repair industry knows this too. The undercoating service industry in North America generates approximately $2.4 billion annually. A professional rust-proofing application at a dealership costs between $400 and $1,200 per vehicle, depending on the product and the market. Those products, rubberized undercoatings, asphalt-based sealants, oil injection services, provide genuine protection. Nobody disputes that. But what nobody tells you is that the foundational chemistry of water displacement and anti-rust film formation, the core mechanism behind all of it, is achievable with a $3 aerosol spray that has been on Japanese shelves since the year John Glenn orbited the Earth. There is no patent on mineral oil. There is no subscription to water displacement. There is no recurring revenue in a technique a driver can perform himself in a parking lot on a Saturday morning. The industry did not hide Cure 5-56. They simply never mentioned it. The silence was enough. If you have made it this far, you already know more than 99% of drivers in every state that salts its roads from November to March. Subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone who parks outside in winter, because what you're about to hear in the next few minutes is the practical part, and they need it before the first frost. Hit the bell, because next week we are covering the compound Japanese trucking fleets use on electrical connectors that prevents the dashboard warning lights that mechanics charge $180 per hour to diagnose. But stay here, because the application protocol is where everything comes together, and most people get it wrong in a way that makes the product less effective. And if you want the full protocol, every compound, every surface, every step in sequence, it is all in the manual. Link in the description. Now, a fleet manager named Kei from Nagano Prefecture, a city that experiences an average of 94 days per year with road salt application, manages a delivery fleet of 23 high-ace vans. His oldest van has 287,000 kilometers on it. It has never had a brake line replaced. It has never had rust-related structural repair. His annual maintenance cost per vehicle is 38% below the national average for commercial fleet operators in Japan. He was asked once what the most important part of his maintenance protocol was. He said, "Pre-winter spray, 30 minutes per vehicle, 1 can of 556, every October, without exception." His fleet insurer has flagged his claim history twice, not because of problems, but because his accident and failure rate was a statistical outlier. They wanted to know what he was doing differently. He told them. They did not adjust his premium. They did not share the information with their other clients. Here's exactly what he does, and what you can replicate for under $10 total. You will need 1 can of Cure 556, or its Western equivalent CRC 556, which uses the identical formulation and is available at most auto parts stores for $3 to $4 per can. You will need a set of disposable gloves, a basic flashlight, and a flat piece of cardboard to slide beneath the vehicle. Total cost, including the cardboard, under $10. Time required, 25 to 35 minutes. Do this in the last 2 weeks of October or the first week of November, before the roads are salted, not after. This is the single most common mistake Western drivers make. They apply rust protection reactively after the salt is already on the car, when the electrochemical process has already begun. The Japanese protocol is preventive. You are creating the barrier before the enemy arrives. Step 1. Wash the undercarriage. Use a garden hose with a standard spray nozzle. You do not need a pressure washer. You need to remove loose debris and dry surface deposits. Allow 20 minutes of air dry time or use a leaf blower to accelerate drying. Surface temperature matters. The compound penetrates more effectively above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If it is colder than that, do this in a garage with the door open. Step 2. Slide beneath the vehicle on your cardboard. You are targeting 6 specific zones in order of priority. First, the brake line runs. These are the thin steel tubes you will see running longitudinally along the underframe, typically 8 to 18 inches inboard of the rocker panels. Spray a continuous 2-second burst along each run at a distance of 6 to 8 inches. Do not saturate. A thin, even film is what you want. Second, the fuel line runs, which parallel the brake lines. Same technique. Third, the underside of the rocker panels and pinch welds, the pinched seams where the floor pan meets the body. These are the highest risk rust initiation points on almost every vehicle. 4. The wheel wells, particularly the inner lip where the fender meets the body. 5. Any exposed suspension components, control arm mounting points, trailing arm brackets, sway bar end links. 6. The exposed sections of the frame rails, front to rear. Total product used, approximately 1/3 to 1/2 of a standard 320 milliliter can. Step 3. Open every door and spray a 1-second burst into each door hinge. Open the hood and spray the hood hinge pins and the hood latch mechanism. Open the trunk or lift gate and do the same. These contact points corrode from moisture infiltration and salt vapor, not just from road spray. A seized hood latch in a -10-degree parking lot is not a hypothetical. It happens every winter to people who skip this step. Step 4. Using the included precision straw nozzle, direct a 1-second burst into each door drain hole, the small holes at the bottom of each door panel that allow water to exit. In winter conditions, these holes can become blocked with ice and salt deposits, trapping moisture inside the door skin where it accelerates corrosion from the inside out. The 556 film prevents the deposit adhesion that causes blockage. The entire application takes 28 minutes. The product remains active for 6 to 12 months depending on exposure conditions. In a heavy salt environment, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Ontario, the UK's northern roads, reapply in February, midwinter, using approximately 1/4 can as a refresh coat targeting the brake and fuel lines specifically. Cost per year, $4.50 to $6. Average cost of brake line replacement in the United States, $250 to $480 per axle, labor included. Average cost of structural frame rust repair, $600 to $3,000 depending on severity. Average cost of rocker panel replacement, $400 to $1,200 per side. The taxi driver in Sapporo understood these numbers in 1987. He did the math on a napkin. He has been carrying a $3 can in his glove box ever since. Not as a superstition, not as a tradition, as engineering. Cure Engineering has sold over 100 million units of 556 in Japan since 1962. 100 million. In a country of 125 million people, it is not obscure. It is not underground. It is the most widely used maintenance compound in Japanese automotive history. Every Toyota technician knows it. Every Honda mechanic grew up with it. The Lexus LS400, a vehicle famous for surviving 400,000-mile service lives in Japanese taxi fleets, was maintained through winters in a country that receives as much snow as Vermont, using products like this one as part of a systematic pre-winter ritual that Western ownership manuals do not mention once. The Naval Surface Warfare Center in the United States tested lanolin-based corrosion inhibitors, the same category of compound, on shipboard equipment exposed to continuous saltwater environments. Their finding? The tested compound was a superior performer compared to all other tested materials, reducing maintenance schedules from quarterly to annually and generating estimated savings exceeding 6 figures per deployment. The U.S. Navy was using a variant of the same chemistry that sits on a shelf at a Japanese 100 yen shop for $3. They stopped recommending it in the West not because it failed the test. They stopped because it passed every single one. You are driving a machine worth $15,000 to $50,000 through a chemical bath 4 months every year. The people who profit from the damage that bath causes have a $3 solution sitting right in front of them, and they have chosen, year after year, winter after winter, to say absolutely nothing. Not a word, not a pamphlet, not a service reminder. The service reminder exists only for the repair. 1 can, 6 zones, 28 minutes. Once before winter. The driver in Sapporo is not special. He did not discover a secret. He was simply never lied to by a service industry that needed his brake lines to fail. Now you know what he knows. Subscribe to this channel and share this with every driver you know who parks outside from November to March. This information is not in any owner's manual. It is not on any dealership service sheet. It travels person to person the way real knowledge always has. Hit the bell because next week we are going under the hood, and what we find there is going to make this video look like a footnote. The compound Japanese engineers use on electrical connectors eliminates the single most common false diagnostic code that dealerships charge $180 per hour to trace. $2. Hardware store. 5 minutes. Everything you need to stop paying for problems that were never there. The taxi in Sapporo keeps running. The brake lines hold. The frame is clean. $3. Every October. That is the entire answer.